sports, home of the Olympic Games, the Premier League, NASCAR, the PGA Tour, and Primetime's #1 show, Sunday Night Football.
Lambeau Field, it's the site of the last game of the NFL regular season, where the league's final playoff spot will be decided as the Detroit Lions visit their NFC North rivals, the Green Bay Packers. So as we're closing out the regular season, so far today, the Dolphins grabbed the final playoff berth in the AFC. Now, the Seahawks are currently down 3 to the Rams, which is music to Detroit fans' ears that will keep their playoff hopes alive. We've got highlights and what it all means for the playoffs coming up throughout the show. Hi, everyone. Maria Taylor alongside Tony Dungy, Jason Garrett, and Chris Sims. We've got a lot to discuss as the regular season comes to an end. But right now, our thoughts and our prayers continue to be with Damar Hamlin. Obviously, it was 6 days ago that all of our hearts stopped. We were filled with grief as we watched him fall to the field and what has been determined a cardiac arrest. Now, obviously, the entire NFL world, the country at large, actually galvanized with hope and prayers and well wishes for Damar Hamlin. And we are so thankful for his quick and speedy recovery and praying for the continuance of that. But the last 6 days have not been easy, Coach. How would you describe them from the NFL family?
It has been up and down for sure, and we're seeing the good news now, and that's been great. But what I've really enjoyed is the unification that we've seen of not only the National Football League, but our entire country. I remember in 1990, I was a young assistant coach. Some chaplains got together. They wanted to pray, wanted the players to pray after the games. We actually got a memo. Don't let your players do that. Send them straight to the locker room or you're going to get fined. Well, fast forward to now, and we've got entire teams, whole staffs out there praying together, unified, because I think we understand that life is more important than the game.
There's no doubt. It's amazing how this has brought everyone together. For me, in this incredibly challenging life and death situation, we saw a lot of people at their absolute best. First and foremost, the medical professionals who saved Damar Hamlin's life, but also the leadership of the head coaches, Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott. And it's not easy leadership. It's not black and white. It's compassion, it's vulnerability, it's understanding, it's prodding and pulling and understanding when to wait and hold. Not only the night, all through the week and today. They were incredible.
Yeah, we got to see the NFL football family at its finest. I think that was the best thing that we saw from this. Of course, it was tough. I mean, it hurt to watch a fellow NFL football player be in the ground like that. You know, all the worst fears come to your mind. And then, of course, I hurt for the game of football, right? But I think the positive thing is, and what we saw today is, that playing football heals us. It's so important to the DNA and the fabric of our country. It is America's game right now. We've overtaken baseball. Football's special. And I think we saw that for the Bills and their healing process today. That was important. And Damar Hamlin, as horrible as it happened, and then the injury and all that, you know what else he loves? What was the first thing he said, right? Did we win? Who won the game? That's what he wanted to know. He loves football, and hopefully this will start the recovery for all of us.
And the first thing the doctor said, Coach, you won the game of life. You won the game of life.
And I think what else we saw, we always see teams out there. We see 32 teams competing, fighting, scrapping, but this is a brotherhood.
Right.
We saw 32 groups come together as one.
There's no doubt that image of all of the players and coaches together around Damar during those really tense, challenging moments. It was amazing. It brings everybody together, and we're all very thankful he's healthy and on the road to recovery.
And we've all watched over the last couple of days as everyone was donning the Hamlin shirts and throwing up the hearts and love for Hamlin. And obviously we've watched tragedy turn into triumph, and that's where we find Peter King right now. He's in Orchard Park, and he was there for the Bills' win today. And Peter, you actually spoke to several players, including Nyheim Hines, who returned 2 kickoffs for a touchdown. What have you learned?
Well, Maria, Nyheim Hines arrived 2 months ago via the trade deadline, and he didn't know a lot of players on the team when he first got here. He told me that one of the first guys to introduce himself was Damar Hamlin. And they formed a very quick bond because Damar kept telling him throughout the course of the fall, you're going to break one. You're going to return one for a touchdown. They even had a little code word. It was #FreeHines. So finally today he broke 2. And what happened was Josh Allen got so emotional. He called it bone-chilling, spiritual. Got so emotional it was hard for him to talk after the game.
I even saw Damar Hamlin tweeted free Hines after that touchdown, so we know exactly what he's talking about now. But we saw him tweeting the entire game from the hospital bed. We know that he actually was able to interact with some of his teammates now. What more can you tell us about that, Peter?
Well, he's been texting teammates, including very late at night. He texted Tre'Davious White in the wee hours of Saturday morning. Tre'Davious White, another guy who was key to this victory. But it was more than that, Maria. It was the bond that he has formed in such a short time, a little less than 2 years with this team. And his head coach, Sean McDermott, after the game said to him, when you get back here, we're going to give you a game ball. And McDermott told me something that he really hopes comes out of this. He said, have you seen everybody together? I hope this is a lesson for our divided country. We can be together when we work together and when we love each other.
An incredible story, and we also heard Damar Hamlin saying that God's using him for a different role here today on Sunday. That's exactly what we're seeing. Peter King, thank you so much for the update. We'll hear more from you on Football Night in America. Now, we also have to keep track of our playoff bracket, guys. We're talking about the AFC. Now, with the no contest between the Bengals and the Bills, that means that the Chiefs win the #1 seed because of their winning percentage, and that means that they get their first round bye. So, Coach, the fans might not exactly be happy about it, but that's the way that the cookie crumbles. If you're a coach and getting ready for your playoffs, what are you telling them?
You're saying, don't worry about how it happened. This is where we are, and we're going to make it work. That's coach speak, but that's how we feel.
Yeah, there's no theme the coaches emphasize more than control what you can control. Hey, this is the situation what it is. Get yourself ready to play in this game this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. It's unfair. So what? Life's unfair. Ask Damar Hamlin. We learned that this week, right? And with these QBs in the AFC, come on. They don't care where you play. We could get out in the parking lot. Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, it doesn't matter. And we've seen them all go into each other's stadium and win games anyways. It'll be good football.
Let's go play.
Let's go play.
Neutral site, home field, doesn't matter at all. Now, that being said, Rodney Harrison would probably love to be somewhere warm, but he's with Jack Collinsworth in Green Bay, and they both have more. Good evening, guys.
To be honest, Maria, there is nowhere else on the planet we'd rather be talking about right here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I thought it was so well put by everybody in there. You saw the scariest part of the game, then you saw everything we love about football. Everybody wrapping their arms around Hamlin, around his family. Then the Buffalo Bills, man, they represented for him today on the field.
This is not a time to be sad. This is a time to be happy and rejoice, because I thank God that we still have Damar here with us. And Damar, I want you to know, if you need anything, brother, we love you, we miss you, and we're here for you. And I'm going to tell you what else. The crowd loves you. Hamlin! Hamlin!
You can hear it all the way from Green Bay. Players all over the country, all over the field tonight, sending their love to #3. We miss you, #3. And we'll see you here soon. Sunday Night Football coming up.
Have a little fun. Prime time Sunday right now. Let's go. Naheem Hines, 96 yards.
I will not lose. This is my moment. You will not forget.
Daylight and time.
This is for history.
Green Bay leads.
In the future.
Put it away, boys.
The top is my target.
And it is good.
Wow. It's showtime. Let the games begin.
That's what winners do.
Hope is alive and rising.
I was born to win. Yeah. It's showtime like prime time.
Now what are they going to say?
It's showtime.
Now what are they going to say? Week 18, Lambeau Field has that postseason chill in the air for the Lions and the Packers in Green Bay. They have been so busy trying to replace Davante Adams all year. Rookies Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. They've had to learn in the moment, but it's working. What's been different about this offense the last month or so?
I would say Aaron Rodgers, his attitude. He's a lot more positive. He's a lot more encouraging. And when you have young players on your team like a Christian Watson who struggle with drops, who struggle with confidence, they have to know that you support them. And now they're using Christian Watson in different ways. When he gets in the open field, there's no stopping him. This is an offense that really had a bunch of big plays, but this is the one guy that can stretch the field, the deep part of the field, and make those plays. And I tell you this, Jack, he's a big reason why they're in position tonight to get to the playoffs if they win
We know he's got that speed. Now he's earning that trust, which could be a real difference maker. I'll tell you this, too. How about the quarterback on the other side? We all know about Rodgers, but Jared Goff, he was shipped off from L.A. to Detroit, middle of that rebuild. Found himself behind that great offensive line. St. Brown as well. He's writing this second chapter right now with one of his best seasons, Maria Taylor.
Yeah, you're right. And as a matter of fact, the Detroit Lions are top 5 in points and yards. It was just a season ago that they were 25th and 22nd in that. So what's changed? What's better about the Detroit Lions offense?
Well, they're better all the way around, but it really starts with their running game. They've got a two-headed monster in the running game, and it's Jamal Williams. He starts it with inside running, power running, and he gives them the attitude. We're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're going to be aggressive. And then they come with DeAndre Swift with the speed to the outside between them, 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground.
They are good, Coach. You're right, and it is through the running game that allows them to tie this part of their offense together with it. The play-action pass is very special. It's effective because of what you talked about. They got a very good offensive line. It creates some huge windows for Jared Goff in the passing game. Then you're worried about the running game, and then they go, oh, yeah, you thought we were going to run it? No, we're going to get in the shotgun, spread everybody out. He's been making great decisions all year, Jason.
Simsy, I love the creative aggression. There's a compliment to everything they do. The outside run. Oh, no, it's a reverse to Jameson Williams. This guy's a playmaker. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator in Detroit, does a fantastic job diversifying the offense. He's not afraid to be aggressive, particularly in short yardage type situations. This is the O-shoot screen.
The O-shoot screen.
Hey, they attack so many different ways. Run and pass. There's a lot of variety in this offense. It'll be a real challenge for this Green Bay defense.
I love the recipe, run, pass, and aggression. All right, guys, let's bring in Steve Kornacki, because a couple of months ago, nobody would have thought it would be Detroit and Green Bay deciding the final playoff spot. But, Steve, here we are.
Yeah, some jagged lines, some jagged seasons for these teams. What are we looking at? The playoff odds from our friends at MGM Sports. The higher the line is here, the better the odds of making the playoffs. Look at the story for the Packers. Things started out, they were 3-1, seemed to be headed in the right direction. They lost 7 out of 8, found themselves at the start of December sitting at 4-8. Look how that trend line fell, but this is what 4 straight wins and a lot of help will do. They enter tonight, win, and you're in the playoffs. Meanwhile, for the Lions, look at this. At the start of November, we were talking draft position for Detroit, not playoff position. They win 6 out of 7, and on Christmas Eve, that trend line seemed on its way to playoff land. That's when they laid an egg in Charlotte against Carolina, and they find themselves, they need help in the next few minutes, because if Seattle can pull off a win against the Rams, the Lions aren't going to be playing for a playoff spot tonight. But if the Rams can pull that out in Seattle, the Lions will also be winning your in coming into tonight. Take a look. Those NFC games still finishing up, but the NFC picture, it looks like the Eagles going to be solid for the top spot, the Niners for the second spot, the Vikings for the third spot, and the suspense does come down to tonight's game. We know Green Bay is winning you're in. Will it be winning you're in for the Lions too, or will the Seahawks find themselves pulling for Detroit to play spoiler?
All right, appreciate it, Steve. We got 3 teams looking for one spot. We're all tied up 16-all, 46-yard field goal on the way for the Seahawks.
No good.
And it's no good. He missed it.
Oh, my God.
We're going to overtime. You're still alive, Detroit Lions. Get excited. All right, we talked about it right before the break, but here are Detroit fans watching it at Lambeau Field.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Myers 46-yarder doink off the right upright, so that means we're going to overtime. Lions, you're still alive. In fact, if it ends in a tie, you are still winning in, okay? Keep that in mind. All right, the Texans taking on the Colts. The Texans would secure the #1 overall pick with a loss. Remember, Jeff Saturday, the interim head coach. This could be his last game coaching. Less than a minute left. Texans down. Davis Mills to Jordan Atkins.
4th and 20. All you got to do is knock it down, right?
Teams been messing this up all year. They got to end the year on this.
That kind of year for Indianapolis.
And then how about this? A 2-point conversion is good, so the Texans can hold on.
Where is the coverage? How did he get wide open?
Well, the Texans get the win. Colts end the season on a 7-game losing streak. We'll hear more on head coaching situations in a moment. The Panthers taking on the Saints. We go to 3 seconds left. It's coming down to a field goal.
Wow.
Eddie Pinheiro.
Down the middle.
Good. 42-yarder.
Way to go, Carolina Panthers. Way to go, Steve Wilks.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? The job he did taking over from Matt Rule, phenomenal. Way to go.
1-4 under Rule, 6-6 under Steve Wilks. Bucks taking on the Falcons. Tom Brady. Was he going to play? Is he not going to play? He's going to sit out. They already clinched the NFC South. He plays.
He played, and he found Kyle Rudolph in the corner of the end zone. The old guard showing up again.
Old guard, there
How about that? How about Rudy? Go ahead, Fighting Irish.
Yeah. Okay, Brady takes the pads off. He rests in the second half. Yeah, the Falcons win 30-17. All right, Vikings taking on the Bears. The first quarter, Cousins looking for Adam Thielen.
And they've been sharp throwing the football, and it continued today.
All right, well, with the Bears loss and the Texans win, the Bears get the #1 overall pick in this year's draft for the first time since 1947. Now we got to turn our focus to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. We want to talk about the head coach openings around the league.
Well, there's 3 vacancies already: Carolina, Indianapolis, and Denver. We're going to keep an eye out for more because there always are more. In Houston, Lovie Smith could be one and done. In Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury could be out, even though he has a guaranteed contract for 4 more years through 2026. And it's entirely possible that Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, will step down. The 2 biggest names that have made the rounds this week: Sean Payton, the former Saints coach, and Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh. Payton said earlier today that he will be speaking to the Broncos, actually has already talked to them, and he said no team is off limits, including the Panthers. Now, the Saints may have something to say about that because they hold his rights. Harbaugh is in play for an NFL return. I'm told the most real opportunity for him for now is Denver. So we'll be watching both Payton, Harbaugh, and all vacancies as they emerge.
All right, storylines to be watching after the regular season ends. Look at Alan Lazar, a little football.
Wow.
To get ready for the end of the regular season.
That's interesting.
I love it. Get your footwork right.
Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
So the Green Bay Packers and their playoff dreams, they've been recharged by this defensive turnaround. 12 takeaways since December, and you were critical of Joe Barry, defensive coordinator, early on, but how has he now saved the season?
And when you play defense, you got to play with passion, you got to play with emotion, you got to play physical, and it starts with their best player, cornerback Jair Alexander. And this is a guy, he's been telling me the entire season, Rodney, all I want to do is match up on the #1 receiver, and he's done a good job of that. But this is when he's at his very best, playing bump and run coverage, tight man-to-man, and you know he's cocky. He's a dog. He's going to get up. He's going to gritty. He's going to talk trash. This is the guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight.
And you know he's going to have even more confidence coming off that type of performance, shutting down Justin Jefferson, maybe the best wide receiver in the game. But there's going to be another tough matchup tonight out there on that frozen Autobahn with Detroit's best and St. Brown.
He is, man, and he's the hidden gem in that offense. He's a guy that's very versatile. He plays in the slot. He can play out wide. Heck, they even use him as a running back like Deebo Samuel. He's tough. He'll go across the middle. He's just a good player. I can't wait to see these 2 guys match up.
And he hit 100 catches last week. You know, the last Detroit Lions wide receiver do that? Calvin Johnson.
Hall of Famer.
He only did that once in his Hall of Fame career. Back into you, Maria.
All right, thanks, guys. We have gone final with the Eagles clinching the 1 seed. Jalen Hurts returns for the first time in 2 games, and that means they'll get that first-round bye in the NFC. The top 6 teams are now locked. Hurts throws for 229 yards. Also an update in our Rams and Seahawks game. We're still tied up at 16. Baker Mayfield just throwing a pick. Both teams have now been on offense. Meanwhile, part of Detroit's turnaround has been because of Michigan's own Aiden Hutchinson. He's the first ever rookie with 7 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 recoveries, fumble recoveries. Dan Campbell, that's his kind of player.
I'm causing mayhem.
Sunday Night Mayhem, presented by Allstate.
With the #2 pick in the draft, we got a freaking football playing dude, man.
Aiden Hutchinson got it. Come on.
He's high motor and he's versatile as hell.
Hutchinson said, I'll take that. Intercepted by the Lions. The rookie out of Michigan comes up with a play.
Football Night in America is brought to you by Applebee's. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood. By Rinvoque. And by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Night in America continues from the field here at Lambeau Field. It's a 21-degree night. It can be colder this time of year, but it is not exactly warm as the special teamers and the return men warm up for the Lions and the Packers. Winning in for Green Bay, for Detroit, we still don't know as the Seattle game goes through overtime. You saw earlier on football night, the game was up on the Jumbotron on the big screen here at Lambeau, but they're not doing their pregame programming. It's not on. Lions ownership is actually sitting over there on the bench watching on a cell phone to find out if their team is going to be playing for winning in or to try to ruin the Packers season. As for Green Bay, from 4-8, a chance on this historic field to get in the playoffs tonight. And for Aaron Rodgers, it hasn't been 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's been more leadership in the locker room, steady play, the defense forcing turnovers, 4 in each of the last 2 games. They'll try to do that tonight. And if Detroit's not playing to get in, they would love to ruin the postseason opportunity for their longtime rival. Packers and Lions from Wisconsin in a little bit. Back to the studio, Maria and the guys.
All right, appreciate it, Mike. We got to get an iPad for the Detroit Lions ownership, right, so they can see it a little bit bigger screen. Yeah. Have a great call, Mike. All right, we're going to focus on the AFC, starting with the Ravens and the Bengals. Joe Burrow, the Bengals clinched the AFC North with a win, but it also guarantees a home playoff game next week. No coin toss. We're eliminating the coin toss with this.
And this is weird because knowing you might play, oh, there's the coin toss. So much for that. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
But this is weird because you're playing a team that you may play again the next week. You don't want to show too much, but you do want to win the game.
Yeah, well, the next drive there, you see Burrow to Jamar Chase, the 26-yarder, is good. Bengals go ahead up 17-zip. And then to the fourth quarter we go. The game gets a little bit chippy at the end of this one.
And these two teams, division rivals, knowing that they may play again next week, let's get ready to go. Let's get ready to rumble.
So Cincinnati goes on to win, and you heard Coach mentioning it. How about a little bit of a rematch? Our 6 versus 3 game will be the Ravens taking on the Bengals again. It'll be in Cincy. And then you see your 5-4 matchup will be the Jaguars and the Chargers. By the way, something to watch out for, Mike Williams. He walked off the field in that Broncos matchup before being carted off. So we're going to keep an eye on that injury going into the playoffs. All right, guys, Seattle Seahawks, they officially get the victory in overtime, 19-16. We've got more on that coming up. Keep it moving with our highlights. The Patriots taking on the Bills. Both teams are honoring Damar Hamlin, obviously. The Patriots clinch a playoff spot with a win. But we also saw Hamlin tweeting from the hospital before this game. It was incredible to see that.
A lot of emotion.
There he is, the entire fan base in Orchard Park, and even the athletic training staff being honored as they are the ones whose remarkable work helped to keep that young man, Damar Hamlin, alive, obviously watching in the hospital. It was a storybook opening in this game, Jason.
What a start for the Buffalo Bills. Nyheim Hines, he's only been with them for a couple months, but what a start for the Bills. An emotional week, and for them to start the game like this, wow.
How electric do you think that stadium was?
Right? Unbelievable. Imagine. We had chills watching it.
Crazy.
Yes, Buffalo's first kick return for a touchdown in 3 seasons. The celebration would continue, but there would be some mistakes too. Late in the second, game tied at 14. Josh Allen is intercepted here by Devin McCourty.
This has been a problem for Buffalo in the last couple of months with turnovers in the red zone.
Yes. 5th interception for Allen in the red zone this season. That is the most in the NFL, something to work out in the postseason. To the third quarter we go. Bills down 3. Hines, would you like to do it again?
Here we go again. Same guy, Nyheim Hines. It's incredible. 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown in this emotional game. For them to get themselves ready to play this game, and for this guy to take the game over like this, something else.
And you heard Peter King say it, that Damar Hamlin had a key word. It was free Hines. He was free for a 101-yard touchdown on that play. And then later in the third, Allen looking for John Brown. Just throw it up.
Well, I mean, this is crazy. This is why Josh Allen's special, right?
Who makes this throw?
Right. I mean,
Nobody.
This is rare stuff right there, and he just flicks it 50 yards on the run.
Incredible moment. The ball is given to Denny Kellington, who administered CPR on Hamlin, celebrating him yet again. And then the fourth quarter, Allen deciding to go deep again.
Well, one more time. One thing he can do is we know he can chuck it deep, and he did that there. I mean, that was.
He can do a lot of things.
He can. He definitely can. Way to go, Buffalo.
Bills get the win. Peter King spoke with the team.
I just thought about how I could impact this game, and that's what I thought about. I said, I actually before the kick, I said, all right, let's give him something to cheer about. So I'm really happy it worked out that way. And our team, we had Damar's wings on our back. We were very, very spirited. I knew we were going to come out and play, and everything was not perfect today, but I knew we would find a way to pull it off and win this one for Damar.
Thinking to myself, how special it would be if we took the opening kickoff back. And I know the guys were working hard on it this week, and it was almost like, man, I wonder if that's going to come together at just the right time, and it surely did, and it was fun to be a part of it.
Gosh, so incredible to have that kind of access and a peek behind the curtain that's something that they worked on and something that they wanted and something that the football gods kind of gave all of us. But after the 6 days that we've seen the Bills have, I mean, just what's your reaction to what we saw on the field here?
Maria, everybody has those ideas. Hey, we're going to return it. But nobody ever does it. And they do it twice. It was incredible. Yeah. And I love what Naheem said. You know, the wings of Damar Hamlin on their back lifted them throughout. It wasn't a perfect performance. They turned the ball over in the red zone, but they made the plays in the kicking game. They made some big plays on offense, the explosive touchdown passes. They took it away 3 times from New England. It wasn't perfect, but it was a team effort. It was a willful effort. Yeah. There's no question about that.
And I think willful is the right thing to say. I talked to Leslie Frazier, their defensive coordinator, last night. He told me he's never been through a week like this. He hoped they would play well, but he didn't know. It was so up and down, and the emotion carried them today.
Yeah, they're a unified team. I know that, being up there in training camp. They'll be ready to go next week with a normal week of preparation. Man, have they been through a lot this year. Between snowstorms and this, they've overcome a lot of obstacles. They'll overcome one more.
From tragedy to triumph, they walk away with the victory. But with that Pats loss, the 7th seed was up for grabs, and that was good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were taking on Cleveland. Mike Tomlin, Steelers, they need a win and a Dolphins loss to reach the playoffs. They have no clue what's going on in Miami, by the way, but at 3:47, they were getting a victory.
Yeah, we've been talking about head coach leadership. How about that guy, Mike Tomlin, down the stretch? They control what they could control. Did a great job today finishing up in Cleveland.
Hey, listen to the crowd at Heinz Field. Incredible. They're cheering for the Jets.
Jets fans weren't rooting for the Jets today.
Okay, let's see if the cheering helped. Let's see if the Jets heard them. Okay, with the Patriots lost, now the Dolphins can clinch their playoff berth with the win. 2 minutes left in regulation. Skylar Thompson gets it to Waddle, but a horse collar penalty is called.
Huge play.
Yeah, big play right here, because it was a defensive struggle type of game. The yards were not easy. Dolphins ran the ball well, but of course with a third-string quarterback, passing game was not hitting all cylinders.
Well, that gets the Jets the Dolphins down to the Jets 39, 23 seconds left. Jason Sanders from 50 yards out, and the field goal is good. So the Dolphins get the victory. Mike McDaniel's pretty excited about it. Yeah, this is really normal. Third-string quarterback. They pull off the 7th seed. Steve Kornacki, a wild season for Miami, Pittsburgh, and New England.
Yeah, and I mean, Miami gets in, but boy, they did make it interesting. The playoff probability throughout the season for all 3 teams. The Dolphins were sitting there at 90%. Then they lost 5 straight coming into today. And you could see in the middle of all of that madness you were just showing there, these numbers, these probability numbers were bouncing all over the place this afternoon. There was a moment in the early 3rd quarter when the Pats got up 3 on the Bills. The Patriots had nearly a 50% shot of making the playoffs at that moment. The immediate next play, the Bills run it back on the kickoff return for the 2nd time. The Pats' chances on that one play fall in half, and it's nothing but south from there for them. Then there was a moment when the Steelers actually moved up to nearly a 40% chance of making the playoffs. That's when the Jets had the ball in the middle of the 4th quarter. They were near midfield, but then the Jets had to punt it, and the Steelers' chances fell south as Miami got the ball back, and then you just showed it. That horse collar penalty that moved the Dolphins into Jet territory. A couple plays later, the Dolphins are sitting there lining up for that field goal with an 80% chance. The field goal goes in, and the Dolphins are going to the playoffs, and the AFC bracket is set. It's got a little unusual with that potential neutral site, but the bottom line, the Chiefs have that bye, and our friends at PFF say the Chiefs enter the playoffs, the 1 seed in the AFC, with a 41% shot of making it to the Super Bowl.
I'm sure all the fans were just tearing their hair out, smiling, jumping, the probability jumping all over the place. But let's talk about the Dolphins, because they end a 5-game losing streak. Obviously, Skylar Thompson, the 3rd-string quarterback, was in. But what do we think about the Dolphins moving forward into the playoffs?
They're dangerous. I think we all think that. They've played Buffalo tough 2 different times, beat them once. I'm worried, I guess, if the quarterback situation. Yeah. If Tua or Teddy Bridgewater are not in there, where's the RPO game? That's the thing, that they miss an element of their passing game when Tua's in there that makes it very special. Their run, his ability to read the right thing, make a quick throw. That's what I worry about with them missing him.
And if Tua or Teddy is not able to play, I really think they need to be able to run the ball. Buffalo has been a little bit vulnerable against the run this year. That should be the plan going forward.
They have to attack different ways. They became reliant reliant on those 2 receivers and Tua throwing the ball down the field. They got to get the run game back first, the RPO game back. Right. But they do have some confidence playing against Buffalo.
That's right.
You feel good about that going into this game.
And they're back in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. It's time now for a PFT update brought to you by Google Pixel. Mike, is there any chance that we could see Tua next week?
Well, Tua's still in the concussion protocol from the most recent head injury he suffered 2 weeks ago today. After the game, Coach Mike McDaniel said they are taking it day by day, and McDaniel won't even think about any game this year or next year for Tua Tagovailoa until he gets medical clearance. It's that 5-step return-to-play protocol. It implies, though, that if he is cleared, he will be available next week. But at this point, we just don't know. It'll be Skylar Thompson unless Teddy Bridgewater can come back from that pinky injury that kept him out of today's game. Also, another quarterback to be concerned about, Lamar Jackson. The Ravens quarterback hasn't played in more than a month, hasn't practiced in more than a month since suffering a knee injury. At this point, the team genuinely has no idea whether or not he's going to be able to return, practice, and play in that rematch against the Bengals.
All right, thanks for the update, Mike. And we want to get you the final play of the game. In overtime, it's Myers stepping up for a 32-yard field goal. That is good. So now the Seahawks, all they have to do is go back, sit, and watch. The Packers are in with the win, but now the Lions, all they can do is play spoiler. No longer in playoff contention. We'll be right back.
Juicy, delicious. Touchdown. Touchdown. To the house. Touchdowns. That's how you do it. This is what happens when we get together.
I'll take nothing but the best of this.
Oh, baby, how big is that? A little wiggle with them.
And the party's on in Packerland.
Let's go.
This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
Get together.
Let's see what jerseys made it to Lambeau. Oh, Barry Sanders.
Had to be a Barry.
Stop on a dime.
Reggie,
The best ever.
the Minister of Defense.
Your Bart Starr.
Talking about old.
Wow, look at that.
Sure.
I love a throwback. All right, let's throw it back to Chris Sims, Matthew Berry, BetMGM time.
Yo, you know it. It's me and Matthew Berry, BetMGM preview. I did just say that. I did say that on NBC, yes. But let's get into it. We saw the first time, right?
Yeah.
First matchup, Packers only 9 points. It was not a good offensive performance. Hopefully we're expecting better this time around.
Yeah, it couldn't be much worse than it was last time. My expectation is they play a lot better, and especially when they start attacking that secondary that's allowed the 3rd most receiving yards, 2 wide receivers this year. And one of the places they're going to look, Allen Lazard. He should see a decent amount of man coverage. He excels against them, including that last game against against Detroit, when he had 87 yards. He's had at least 55 receiving yards in 3 of his past 4. My expectation is he gets that number tonight, as in a must-win game, Rodgers looks for his veteran.
I hear what you're saying. I think this Detroit defense is going to be all over the Green Bay run game, and I think it's going to have to be Rodgers' right arm to win this game. The first game, the first matchup, is about as bad as I ever seen Aaron Rodgers play in his career. You can see here, wide open receivers down the middle of the field, kind of looking at the pass rush, unsettled, was not trusting of his receivers. Here's another play later on in the football game. That's the first read. That's wide open in the NFL. So is the in-cut from Allen Lazard coming from behind it there. Rodgers was off his game. I don't expect to see that again, but man, as you see right here, yards and plays, points left on the field over and over by Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. I don't think we're going to see that again tonight.
No, he's played a lot better.
Yeah.
He'll play a lot better tonight. On the other side of the ball, how about Jamal Williams? Going back to Green Bay, he needs 1 touchdown to tie Barry Sanders' franchise record for rushing touchdowns. He leads the league in goal-to-go carries. My expectation, he scores at least 1 touchdown at, let's say, any time during the game tonight.
Anytime. All right, Jamal Williams, there you go. All right, new BetMGM customers can sign up and bet $10 on any NFL game to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with bonus code NBC150. Maria, back over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Do you remember just 2 months ago, it was after their 5th straight loss happening in Detroit? Many people thought that the Packers had hit rock bottom, but as we've seen over the years, repeatedly, you can just never count Aaron Rodgers out.
From the Motor City, this nightmarish losing streak is going to continue.
Can't lose a game like that against that team, though.
I'm too big of an optimist. I expect that high level.
Relax. I feel like we can run the table. I think the best in people, and I think we had a good chance.
He delivers the dagger.
Things looking up.
Keep hope alive.
So 1-2, and just about everything we've needed to happen has gone our way.
This is as big a win as the Packers have had.
Definitely haven't had a lot of believers outside the locker room, I don't think, so maybe this will give us a couple on the bandwagon.
They have that swagger now.
We've all seen some of the commentary outside as we went from 4-8 to 5-8 to 6-8, and nobody's worried about the Packers and blah, 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 blah.
The Packers win their 4th in a row.
Now what are they going to say?
Okay, here's what we're going to say, Aaron. You've done a great job since then, but we're going to have to walk it back to what we saw when you played Detroit the first time. And that's when Aaron Rodgers, they were 0 for 4 in the red zone. And we saw the Lions go 2 for 3. That seemed to be the difference in the game, Tony.
Yeah, Chris and Matthew said they expect the offense to function a lot better tonight. Where they really have to function better is in the red zone. They moved the ball up and down the field, but when they got down there close, Chris, a lot of uncharacteristic misfires. This is first down. Hand the ball off. It might be a walk-in touchdown.
Right. I mean, it looks like he throws the ball low, coach, off the guy's helmet, in the air, interception.
Now here's 4th down. Got it wide open. Set your feet and get it there. That's a touchdown.
Coach, this is arguably the greatest red zone quarterback of all time. He makes the plays. He doesn't make the bad plays. And in that first game, he wasn't making them, and Jared Goff was.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, one thing that we know for sure now, guys, with the Seahawks win, that means that the Lions truly have no chance of getting that 7th seed. So that means the motivation might change a little bit. If you're Dan Campbell, you're in the locker room, you know your team knows. How do you prepare them for this game?
Sure, they know. I would have set that up all week if I was in Dan Campbell's situation. Hey, guys, we probably won't get in the playoffs, but you know what we have a chance to do? We have a chance to get some respect. We beat this team the last time, and they acted like it was a fluke. And Aaron Rodgers even said it. You can't lose to that type of team. Well, hey, we got to make them pay for that.
Coach, you used the magic word, respect. As a player, as a coach, as a football team, it's all about respect. You want to be a respected player by the opponent. And Aaron Rodgers, after that game, when he said that team quote, I mean, that's disrespectful. Right. And not that you need added motivation when you play a divisional rival like that, but they have it. And Dan Campbell's going to use it.
You're trying to say you would have put that on the bulletin board?
But this is a culture win, too. Forget they can't get in the playoffs. This is a jump off for 2023. This is to remind Green Bay, hey, next year we're going to be here, and you might have to come to our house to try to get in the playoffs. So that's where I look at that put up a good performance.
And by the way, the Lions are playing for a winning record as well. They could end the season 9-8 and with a win over their rivals. I mean, that's pretty huge. Let's get it back to Mike Florio, though, because elsewhere there's some uncertainty surrounding Sean McVay's future in L.A. What are you hearing, Mike?
Yeah, if he steps down, and there is a growing sense that he will. My understanding, it's not because of burnout or he wants to get into TV. He won his Super Bowl, and now he's looking at a multi-year rebuild that he just doesn't want to be a part of. And if he does choose to step away, think about the ripple effects that this may cause. Defensive tackle Aaron Donald almost retired last year. What would he do? And quarterback Matthew Stafford, who's had plenty of injuries, has a $57 million guarantee that fully vests in March. Will the new coach want Matthew Stafford or want to move on? A lot of questions, beginning with, will Sean McVay be back?
All right, we'll be looking for the answers here soon.
He's a young guy. Why would he be worrying about a rebuild? He's young.
Got lots of time.
A little bit of time left till we have kickoff between the Lions and the Packers.
Welcome to the Hyundai Sunday Night Kickoff.
So Aaron Rodgers, he has led a 4-8 team from hopeless to one of the most confident teams in January. On the other side, Jared Goff, he was shipped to Detroit in the middle of a rebuild. In year 2, he's returning the shine to his name. Let's take you on the field, presented by Hyundai. Goff's success, it has come behind an offensive line that has 5 studs across the board. That's rare in this league.
Absolutely, and I got a chance to talk to running back coach Deuce Staley, and he told me about DeAndre Swift. He said when he's healthy, he has it all. He brings the energy, and at any point in time, he can break it for 50 yards. But he also talked about Jamal Williams, and he said he was described as a hammer in this offense. He's big, he's physical, and he's picking up the tough yards.
And for the Packers, David Bakhtiari is back right on time. The big money body any guard is healthy over there at the blind side.
They love his leadership. Rodgers is a different quarterback when he has his most trusted lineman protecting his blind side, and he'll be challenged tonight by 2 rookie pass rushers. These guys play with a lot of speed. They play with a lot of energy. He has to win the battle tonight.
Man, these fans know what's on the line. You were walking around. You were talking to everybody as these teams get set. I'm glad somebody else finally got it. You were talking to everybody as these teams get set. I saw you catch up with Alexander for a minute. What'd you learn from Jair?
Well, he told me that he called a team meeting, defensive meeting because he was frustrated with his defense. And he basically said, either you're in or you're out. And after that, he said the defense started playing really well, creating turnovers.
Sounds like the kind of speech you might give,
That's
man.
right, getting somebody's...
Let's send it back into Maria Taylor. How about this guy right here, Maria? You kidding me?
I love it. Y'all get back to the fans. Cardinals taking on the 49ers. The 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt, retiring after this game. He's hanging out with George Kittle. Speaking of Kittle, why don't he score one?
What a great throw there by Brock Purdy in the back of the end zone to Kittle. The Niners offense today, Maria, was rolling. Run game, pass game, had it going.
Yeah, they earned their 10th straight victory and claimed the 2 seed in the NFC. Cowboys taking on the Commanders. Dak Prescott looking for Noah Brown, but intercepted.
Yeah, with the division and the #1 seed still available to them, the Cowboys did not play well. They turned it over 3 times, 182 yards of offense, not their best day.
Yeah, lost 26-6 against Washington, but they got the 5th seed when taking on the Bucs. Giants taking on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts back after missing 2 games with that shoulder injury. The Eagles looking to clinch the #1 overall seed in the NFC. Hurts looking deep.
And you know what he brought, Maria? He brought that confidence back. Yeah, I get those one-on-ones to A.J. Brown, I'm going to connect.
Eagles fans probably missed that connection right there. Later in the drive, it's Boston Scott.
Run game was back with Jalen also. They played well. They've got to be feeling good about themselves.
Yes, they got to clinch that #1 seed with the win, and Giants already locked in with that 6th seed. Steve Kornacki, let's see the rest of that NFC bracket.
Yeah, there is one unfinished piece of business, and it has to do with who will play the 2nd seed 49ers. Is it going to be the Packers? They win tonight. They get that final 7th spot. If the Packers lose, it goes to the Seahawks. Otherwise, the bracket set in the NFC. Our friends at PFF have crunched the numbers, give you a little preview of what they think the odds are in each of these games next weekend. Cowboys are going to go to Tampa. They think there's a 55% chance that the Cowboys are going to win that game against Tom Brady. The Vikings are going to play host to the Giants. 60% chance, the model says, that the Vikings win that game. But remember, just a couple weeks ago, the Giants went to Minneapolis and nearly pulled it out. They get a second chance. And then Niners playing either Green Bay or Seattle. The Niners' chances against Green Bay, 62%. Against Seattle, they sit at 74%. And overall, what are the chances the Eagles, with that top seed in the bye, win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl? The model, lukewarm. They have the best chance of anybody, but just 34%. Those Niners behind them at 28%.
Ooh, interesting. Time now for the Sunday Night Game Flow presented by Progressive. Chris, a tale of 2 offenses for a couple of NFC contenders.
Yes, let's look at the hot one first, and that was the San Francisco 49ers. That's right, Brock Purdy. Yeah, he's pretty good once again. And Shanahan magic here. You worry so much about their run game. They always have all these great ways to get their backs to ball on the edge of a defense there. Elijah Mitchell back healthy. Wow, what an addition he brings to their run game. They're already pretty strong in that department. Now you talk about the Cowboys. Whoa, was it ugly today for them. Dak Prescott was not on his game. They couldn't run the ball that well. You see here, careless decision, should be an interception. This is the very next play. Dak Prescott's too awesome to make a decision or a throw like that. A little concerning with how that Dallas Cowboy offense looked today, Maria.
All right, that was the Sunday Night Game Flow presented by Progressive. Let's stick with that Cowboys offense because obviously coming into the season, we're thinking this is an NFC contender, but we're coming off a game against the Commanders. Prescott throws an interception, just 128 yards. That's his fewest yards passing since 2017. Your reaction to what we saw from the Cowboys?
Well, they've played great since Dak has come back on offense. The last 6 or 7 weeks, he's been phenomenal. But today, they did not play very well at all in any phase of their team. They turned it over 3 times, twice in the kicking game, and the offense never got got anything going. They had 10 3-and-outs in this ball game. Washington simply dominated them. One thought about the Cowboys going forward, I don't think they're a great team on the road on grass. I feel like their defense, their front that's so dominant at home on that turf, on that fast surface, I feel like they slow down. So it'll be interesting to see how they play next week against Tampa. I still think they're a better team. It'll be a good challenge.
And I'm concerned about that offense. As you mentioned, this wasn't a game where they rested everybody because they didn't have anything at stake. They were playing for the #1 seed. They're playing against a team that's out of it, that's starting a rookie quarterback, and they didn't do anything today. That's got to be concerning to them. They're going to have to gear it up next week.
Yeah, next week they got the Buccaneers, and you saw Steve Kornacki said a 55% chance that the Cowboys get the victory. I thought that was interesting. All right, now time for the Sunday Night 7, $100,000 jackpot. Matthew Berry, how many passing yards and touchdowns for Jared Goff?
Who's had a really nice year. So much talk about Aaron Rodgers. How about Jared Goff, who now has 6 straight games with at least 250 passing yards? That's the option I want, 250 to 269. I think he has a nice game tonight. Sunday Night 7 also wants to know, hey, how many touchdown passes for Jared Goff? And I'm going to say 2. He's had multiple touchdown passes in 5 of his past 6 games. Let's get Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of them, Jared Goff, if you happen to be listening. When we come back, Football Night in America with the latest playoff picture and the best of Week 18.
Courtesy of Stacy Joe Rose. Check this out. Go Lions is already up.
I like it.
It's the Seahawks Stadium. That's because if the Pack loses tonight, that means that the Seahawks will secure that 7 seed. We are 5 minutes away from kickoff. Before we get there, it's the best of Week 18 brought to you by MetaQuest. Let's talk about Philadelphia locking up that 1 seed with Jalen Hurts returning.
Maria, one of the best teams in the league, got their leader back today. Great to see Jalen Hurts back out there throwing the ball to A.J. Brown. He gave them a shot in the arm. They got the #1 seed. They got the bye. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Philly.
You got to love how it ends for Philly as it started so well. Meanwhile, Seattle getting the win over the Rams in overtime.
Defense got the ball back for a second chance for Jason Myers, and he delivered.
Yes, he missed the 46-yarder, but he's good from 32 yards. Now Seahawks need the Lions to beat the Packers tonight to clinch the 7th seed, so they'll sit and they will wait. So in the NFC, our top 6 seeds are already locked, and that means it all comes down to the final game of the regular season, and you'll be watching that momentarily right here on NBC. Let's go to the AFC. Cincinnati taking on Baltimore. Looking forward to a rematch in this one, Sims.
Yes, they are. The Bengals offense looked great early. Joe Mixon gets the touchdown here. He says, forget that coin flip thing, all right? I'm kicking that out of here. We're going to take care of this on the field.
So the 3 seed and 6 seed, that'll be a rematch next week. Miami taking on the Jets. The Dolphins secure the 7th seed.
Simsy called it a defensive struggle. It was an offensive struggle. Jason Sanders ended it. Miami wins 9-6 behind a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson, Mike McDaniel, y'all feeling good? You got to be. First time since 2016 they're in the playoffs. Buffalo taking on New England. You can't write this up, Tony.
Damar Hamlin's picture on the Jumbotron. The game kicks off, and Nyheim Hines just adds to the electricity in that stadium, and Buffalo was off and running.
A 96-yard return for a touchdown to start the game. Josh Allen afterwards speaking his thoughts on that historic play as his teammate Damar Hamlin sits in the hospital.
You can't draw that one up, write that one up any better. And I was just told by Kevin Kearns it's been 3 years and 3 months. Since the last kickoff return, so it's pretty cool.
An incredibly emotional 6 days. Yes, the tragedy turns to triumph. So ultimately, Buffalo gets the 2 seed with that win. Remember, the Chiefs are the 1 seed due to their winning percentage. If they should meet in the AFC Championship game, it will be on a neutral site. That was the best of Week 18, brought to you by MetaQuest. Wish for the extraordinary. Let's start with the AFC and just your thoughts on how the bracket ended up shaking out this season.
Maria, what an amazing story in Buffalo this week and today. And they've been one of the best teams in the AFC all year long. And for them to have this added boost and this purpose behind their football team right now, to me, they're the odds-on favorite in the AFC.
And flipping over to the NFC, I look at another story in San Francisco. Your starting quarterback goes down, Jimmy Garoppolo takes over, he goes down, and now you've got Brock Purdy, the last player drafted, who's playing great football right now to go along with that defense. Watch out for San Francisco.
Yeah, how about the 49ers? They have won 10 straight games, Jason, with Brock Purdy.
It's been seamless. I mean, this is a rookie quarterback, the last player taken. Sure. It's hard to do. It's hard to play quarterback in the NFL as a rookie. They've been seamless. They've been fantastic.
He's doing it well. No turnovers. He's been playing great.
So many incredible storylines, especially Damar Hamlin and the improvement we've seen from him in the 6 days since watching him go down. It's time now for the home team picks, brought to you by Lowe's. We start with America's pick and Jack.
Well, Maria, 55% of the country is on Detroit, and the first 3 months of the Packers season were slow-moving, but now is when the real teams rise. And Rodgers, he plays his best when people talk the most. Give me the Packers, Rod. Who you go with?
First of all, I got to point out this little kid and how crazy he is. What is wrong with him? He has no shirt. I'm going to tell you who I'm going to pick.
Yeah, hey, look,
that could have gone really wrong.
And I wish it had.
Yeah.
The Packers
There's a reason they didn't let Jack do it.
Nothing to lose when they were 4-8. Tonight they have something to lose. And I say that because sometimes they're a little tight when they're in a situation like this. Will Aaron Rodgers take chances with the balls? I still think they'll win, but I think it may be closer than we expect.
I agree. I think it's a field goal game here. Two good offenses here, and Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson did a great job with the Lions this season. The roar has been restored, but I do think the Packers win this one in a close one. Chris Sims, what say you?
Well, I look at Aaron Rodgers at home, a game of this magnitude. Christian Watson wasn't a part, really, of the game plan the first time around. He will be this time. I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, and I'm not dressed like the Green Goblin to not choose the Packers. Go, Pack, go. Jason?
You look great, Maria.
Thank you.
I love Dan Campbell. I love Ben Johnson, what they've done with that offense, but there's too much at stake in Green Bay. It's hard for them to go up and win there at Lambeau. When Rodney's jumping into the stands, I take the Pack.
Everything says Green Bay, but I'll tell you what, Detroit, Dan Campbell, I think he's going to push the right emotional buttons. I'm picking Detroit tonight.
Oh, really, Coach? All right. Coach goes against the grain. Those were tonight's home team picks brought to you by Lowe's. Last game of the regular season coming your way. Pack wins, they're in.
This has been the Hyundai Sunday Night Kickoff. Spanish language audio provided by Telemundo Deportes. Or watch tonight's game in Spanish on Universo.